Hey everybody, this is Brent in Central Arkansas. We're going to do another grow, this time with early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. And I did use that recently, so I have a comparison that I can use, or a picture I can use to compare it against this grow. This time we're going to push the limits of growing the way that I grow, the style that I grow. I mean, we're really going to push it. So we're going with 50% more than what I did before. So let me turn on and show you what we're going to start with. Empty mouthwash cup. Zero it out. And then we'll put both of these on here. Okay, it says 77 grams. I'll just leave it at that. This is my new screen. Food grade. I've got a wet, actually wet hand towel, and I've got my iron here. I'm just going to place the hand towel on the screen and iron it to flatten it. Okay, the process is use a basic antifungal, wet the screen, then put the seed on, and then wet the seed. Get the fan on them. This is the cabbage now. You can see it moving around. It's because I have the fan above on high, and I do that on purpose because because it's so dense, when plants take moist water up through the roots and in and out, it expels through the top. It's called transpiration, and I want the fan to remove it as quickly as possible so that cycle continues faster, which increases overall growth, I think. Anyway, it's anecdotal evidence, and the cotyledons are starting to spread, and it's looking beautiful. And it's time to harvest the broccoli. Actually, this is cabbage. I don't know why I said broccoli. Anyway, you can see here that it is, you can't even hardly see the tray. It's so thick. Hey everybody. This has got to be one of my better brassica grows, if not the best one. If you have purchased the book in the chapter called Rocking My Top 5, this is basically the same way, but instead of booming broccoli, we're going to go with colossal cabbage. If you read that chapter, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, what I'm trying to do here is absolutely maximize the grow. And you can see that the sides, let me just lift this up. You see that? That it's grown so densely and on purpose that it's cascaded over the sides. And in the chapter I talk about, in the book I talk about maximizing 10-20 space. Well, 10-20 is only so much space, so you can only grow so much. So how do you increase that? And in the book I tell you, you increase that by increasing the inches. And the only way to increase the inches is by growing a little taller and letting them spread out. And this is a really gorgeous grow. Anyway, let's get to harvesting. And this is early Jersey Wakefield cabbage, I believe. Here we go. wanted to you probably saw that I didn't start speeding up. I wanted to show those of you who haven't seen this before what it looks like growing on a screen. Golly, this is heavy. So that's what it looks like. It's basically a carpet of microgreens. Beautiful, beautiful carpet of microgreens. And the way I'm going to harvest today is a method that I call screen harvesting, and that's where I set the screen directly on the table. So anyway, something else you can do if you want is you can rattle it like this and shake it, and it'll shake out some of the seed holes here, and that'll be less that you'll have to clean up later. But for our purposes and for me, we'll turn it on its roots here and we'll get to harvesting. I've got my usual harvesting container here. It's an empty little, I think I got it from the dollar store. I think my wife got it from the dollar store for this purpose. Anyway, I'm going to cut them and put them in here. Now I'm going to speed you up. All right, we're back, and I still could have gotten a good bit closer, but I can tell you for a fact this is the biggest not broccoli, I keep wanting to say broccoli, the biggest brassica grow. Cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, turnip, radish, they're all in the brassica family. And besides radish, the one daikon radish may be heavier than this one, but this is pretty significant. I'm really happy that I grew. Yes, I showed that. It started with 75 grams of seed, which is 50% more than what I usually use at 50 grams. And also on this grow, I'm going to have to take it off because you can't see it, but I'm growing with the screen that's food grade. Yeah, I should have shown you that at the beginning of the screen. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to bring you back here, and I want to go over this mat, the remaining little bit of stem and the roots, and show you there's nothing in here harmful. There is no, and that is almost the case every single time. It's almost the case every single time. No BS. So I want to show that to you because this is incredibly dense. This is more dense, I think, than just about anything I've grown. So yeah, let me grab the camera and I'll bring you in close. All right, I'm going to start this corner here. Let me bring you in even closer, and I'm going to move this around because sometimes it can trick you. Your eyes can trick you and you think there's something there. And usually I can tell just by running my fingers through it, because if there's mold or anything like that, it'll be a little bit slimy. And so yeah, I'm going to take here and just kind of show you. I think it's important. This part is important. It may be dull to some of you, but if you're considering growing really dense and maximizing what you eat for personal use, or if you're maximizing because you want to do selling, commercial selling, then obviously you want to grow as much as you can for each 10-20 tray you grow in, because that means it's less you have to grow in. And one of the concerns that many people have when growing too dense is fungus and disease. So that's the reason why we're going in close. I'm rambling, but I think this part is important to some people, and that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm continuing to do a microgreen thing besides selling the book. Now the book is valuable I think it's a valuable asset for you, or I wouldn't have written the book. Okay, so there, we've gone in close, and cleaning the screen is easy as just taking your fingers. It's a little bit tougher this time because it's so dense, but basically, you see how I'm moving my fingers, and now we can see that food grade mesh that I got from McMaster Carr under screens, by the way, for anybody that wants to use that. So that's the screen, and from the screen you can kind of see the beginning of the root showing up here. That's what that little bit of discoloration is, and because roots, when they come out, okay, we're back. That slip from the tripod, I have it leaning against the table, but anyway, the slip caused the camera to go off for some reason. Anyway, we're back. But anyway, you can see how easily the roots come off once you peel it from the other side, and this is the area I pulled it from. But the roots, they're pretty pristine, white in color, pretty much, especially with the brassicas, and especially with turnip. But after a very short period, they start having this color to them, kind of discoloring a little bit. But there's nothing wrong with any of this. And some people have asked questions about the roots after I mentioned them. These roots can definitely be used for things other than animal fodder, which is feeding it to animals, whether it's birds like chickens or quail or whatever else you have, or pigs, or even worms, which is what this is going to, my composting worms. Anyway, yep, it's really clean. Okay, before we go away, these fabulous microgreens, I want to talk a little bit about the organic part. The organic discussion is going on over the group. It's a closed group for the people who buy the book, but we're talking about trying to figure out a way to get good yields, really good dense yields like this, using organic fertilizer. Anyway, we're trying to figure that piece out, and part of that is we'd like to take it to the point where you could get certified organic selling microgreens, and that would be a neat thing to do. Part of that is the use of this screen here, and this is from McMaster Carr. If you go to the screen section, you'll find it. It says it's FDA approved and can be used with food and beverages and stuff like that. Here's the thing with the screen. Now, I treated it, I whacked it like I do my other screen, and that screen, the PVC coated polyester, is really tough. I mean, you can really knock the dickens out of it. But this screen, not so much. This is a weave. See this little strand here and here, and we got 3 of them up here. Now, I whacked them. You can see here how it's weaved together. It's not extruded. I was trying to think of that word, and I thought of it right here on camera with you. I think if you treat this delicately, a little bit more delicate than I did, because I really abused it, because what I'm trying to determine is if it's a good option to really abuse. You may be able to like heat melt the edges where they don't come unraveled. I'm not going to do that. I like my PVC coated polyester screens. That's what I'm going back to. But some of you, and I'm not selling commercially, so I don't really care to meet the certification processes. Why would I, right? Because I'm okay with it. So, but I know some of you are, and this point about the screen is for that as well. So yeah, it unravels a little bit. I didn't, at McMaster Carr, I didn't check all the screens. They probably have other options because they have a lot of screen, and several of them are listed as food grade. Now, the PVC coated screening that I do use, polyester, PVC coated polyester, I have it in, it's a place called Super Screen, and it's out of Florida, and I bought 2 versions. I bought a 1720 and a 1714, and that's also in the book. But basically the 1720 is 17 inches one direction, 20 inches, 17 holes by 20 holes per inch, and 17 by 14 is the other screen. And those both cover the tiniest of seed to the middle size seed. Just wanted to point that out for those going organic. Now, this piece of mine is going in the trash because it's not functional anymore after I just whacked the dickens out of it. So what else? Yeah, we're getting active over in the group. And for the group guys and the people who have bought the book, thank you so very much for that. I really appreciate it, and I really like the back and forth. It's we're talking about a lot of things, and it's really got my mind going too in different directions. And right now there's a heavy focus on fertilizer types for organics, but I am gonna do another grow to attempt to maximize organics using liquid kelp, some azomite, and maybe something else. Probably gonna do a fish emulsion that was suggested. I don't know how fish emulsion would translate to organic. It kind of smells bad to me, but I'm still going to do it for other folks. But anyway, I've rambled on really too much. Let's get in and weigh these and see what it weighs. Here's a close-up of the micros. I just grabbed a handful. Alright, we're going to do the weight like we always do. I've got two tubs that are exactly the same. This one's empty for the purpose of zeroing out the scale. This one obviously has a microgreens in it. We use the glass to elevate it so we can see the screen. Otherwise this would cover up the screen when you put the tub on. Okay, so get this exactly centered. Now we zero it out. That way this tub weight is removed from the microgreens here. Let's put it on here and get a weight. We're in grams. Whoa. Wow, that is big. 1,426 grams. Can you see that? Yeah, good. Let's see how many ounces in there. 50.3 ounces. Oh my gosh, this is blowing away my biggest brassica grow. 3.1 pounds. That's incredible. I mean, it sounds like I'm bragging on myself, but I'm genuinely surprised. Awesome. This is Brent, you guys. We'll see you later.